You have a message. You want to share that message. You want it to be social, to go viral, and spread across the planet. But how do you get started? Tune into Amplify, featuring host Ken Rochon. This show is here to help you take that message and channel it through the most effective marketing techniques to not only be successful, but have a positive impact on the world. Tune in live Monday at 8 a.m. Pacific Time and 11 a.m. Eastern Time on the Voice America Influencers Channel. And get amplified.
And welcome to the show. This is Amplified with Ken Rochon, as you heard the music say. And Ken Rochon, our host, is right here. Today, we have something really fun and exciting for you. A great show with David Ibarra. Ken, please start the show and let's find out what you've been doing to bring such goodness to the world and smiles.
Well, I'm glad we're going to have an exciting show because I was wondering, with all the shows we've had, when are we going to have an exciting show? So this is awesome that we are starting today. So, ladies and gentlemen, we are committed to always have an exciting show. So this is another exciting show. The thing is, we keep bringing the bar higher and higher. So David, as you will hear, is very in tune, parallel, and really is going to be a trophy champion, keep smiling author for Dose of Hope. And he's one of those great authors that understands that getting books in influencers' hands or radio shows allows them to get to know them better and have a better show. So how are you doing, Andrea?
I am hunky-dory. I'm back in Ohio this week, and I'll be heading back to Baltimore for some fun things, a wedding show, a book signing, some other exciting things
National
that are
Kidney
in the
Foundation?
works. The National Kidney Foundation, that we're going to be doing some follow-up with them. We did that this last week. National Kidney Foundation is very excited to honor some of their doctors who've been in play and some of their volunteers who've been helping save people's lives. So with Patty Dash, who's the director of the chapter there in Baltimore. And it looks like we'll be exploring teaming up with Washington, D.C. and Virginia chapters as well. And then hopefully expanding nationally to help create smiles with them all over the United States and hopefully the world.
Well, you can give a shout out to the two people you interviewed if you'd like. Otherwise, you can keep that as a secret.
You know what? I'm not remembering the doctor's name, so she's going to have to be a secret. And
Okay.
the other woman's name is Seal, and that's all I remember at the moment. So
I
that is
didn't
the
want to put
only
you on
acknowledgement they're going to get.
Well, I didn't want to put you on the spot because as the photographer, I did their photos, but I have not labeled them yet. So I'm still getting to know their names, but what powerful women they are. And, I'm excited because National Kidney Foundation is a nonprofit I've been working with, volunteering for almost 10 years, I think. And they are such a supporter of the Keep Smiling movement and also volunteers. They just really give a lot of gratitude to volunteers. So I've been very fortunate to know Patty, and the best reward you can possibly get is sometimes being hugged and being acknowledged, and of course being fed Greek food. So that is just one more bonus. So they have an event coming up.
Absolutely.
They have an event coming up in Baltimore. I think it's this weekend, and they're doing it virtual, but they're having all kinds of goodies being handed out and picked up at the Horseshoe in Baltimore, one of the best places to go and win lots of money.
Absolutely. And then we did something else last week. Do you want to share that with Father Michael?
Well, I do want to say that Peg Duchesne is a friend again, some 10 years, and she introduced us to Father Michael. And Father Michael is really a male version of Mother Teresa. I think David Ibarra would love to meet Father Michael. He makes his purpose, his quest, and really his priority to take care of the needy. And I'm just so impressed because he only is looking for money so he can get them clothes, so he can get them housing, so he can get them food, and to know that they're loved. So we were fortunate enough to go down to La Plata, about an hour and a half drive from BWI Keep Smiling headquarters, and film, interview, and meet these amazing people. They all have a story, they all have a smile, and they are all grateful. So they love Father Michael, and we are building a campaign for him to let the world know that there is a male version of Mother Teresa. Support him, and you will be happy that he puts money to good use. He drives around in a van and a station wagon filled with life cereal, all these other things that he gives to the poor and needy. So I'm just very impressed that he is the consistency of a person that really is caring about humanity.
Well, it was very exciting to meet some of the people that he helps, as well as the other volunteers, and that we also interacted with Bishop Larry Sturgis. Do you want to share your experience of the bishop, Ken? I thought he
Well, I
was so
do
fun.
briefly. We have a very big interview with David, so I do want to get him on as soon as possible. But, Bishop Larry will probably listen to this show, and David will like Bishop Larry. Bishop Larry is full of life, and he said, the only reason I came here was a smile brought me here. And I said, what do you mean by that? And it just caught my ear. I was like, how in the heck could you say something so magical? So I did an interview with him and just about cried because it was just a beautiful story that will be in the Dose of Hope. If you have a Dose of Hope handy, go ahead and show that 800-page book off. And we have, obviously, David Ibarra is going to be invited to be part of the Dose of Hope. And that is a dose a day. Dopamine, oxytocin, serotonin, and endorphins are the chemical God gives us to be happy, smile, and feel alive. But Larry is just such a beautiful human being. He is a brother of Father Michael, and we are encouraging them to do a podcast together. And I will just leave the story actually for the book because I want to bring David on. So
That
let's introduce
sounds
David.
fantastic. Awesome. So let me bring him on camera so that we can see this wonderful man that we are bringing on. And David, I had the pleasure of getting to know him. He's just an amazing guy. And when you hear everything that I'm going to be sharing, you guys will just be tickled to death. He comes from Salt Lake City, Utah, which is really funny because I told him my daughter is there right now skiing, so maybe they can meet. And he's the author of Stop Drifting, Become the Switch Master of Your Own Thought and Pivot to Positive. David R. Ibarra is a leadership consultant, a successful entrepreneur who has blazed his own trail to success after being raised in the Utah foster care system. At 28 years old, he started his first business. He went into a career that spans the restaurant, automotive, and leadership consulting industries. He wrote the Stop Drifting as a chapter within his life purpose journey, and he's really dedicated to working with employed adults who drift through life unsatisfied. And he's really focused with his leadership on developing talent and teaching individuals how to become goal setters and achieve a positive work experience, which allows them to achieve that freedom to find success in other roles with family, faith, community, and health. He has a beautiful beginnings that we'll be sharing within all of this, and he's held several positions for the Marriott Corporation as well, so you'll be hearing more about that. He's also the recipient of the honorary doctorate of Humane Letters from Salt Lake Community College, and he always gives back. He's also had an appointment by President Clinton to the U.S. Air Force Academy Board of Visitors, and he's served on multiple other boards as well. He has such a great outreach, and he has some exciting news to share later on in the show. So please, everyone, woohoo, standing ovation. David Ibarra, thank you so much for joining us.
Well, thank you for inviting me. I'm honored.
Well, you have a radiant smile, and boy, you have kind of a Barry White voice as well. So good job.
Well, we won't bust into a Barry White song.
So I was asking you before the show that you have all this stuff behind you, and it is a little hard to see some of it. So I actually would like, since the audience may be looking back there and trying to squint and see what's happening back there. Obviously, there's two brochures that I think those are brochures, right?
Those are books.
Books. Okay, so they are books. So they just look smaller than when they're farther away. Is that the idea? It's a physics thing. Okay.
There you go.
So it's called perspective, I believe. So if you could be so kind to share some of the people that you are honoring in the back, even though we can't see them completely.
Sure. Well, first in the top corner is one of my biggest heroes, and that's my brother, Mickey Ibarra. And next to that picture is my father, and his story is an incredible success story of switching from a negative situation to a positive. And then I go into some public figures like the Reverend Jesse Jackson, Lionel Sosa, mayors Rocky Anderson, the governor of our state at the time. We have him in there too, Mike Levitt, and then a real shero of mine, Dolores Huerta, who started the farm labor movement with Cesar Chavez, And those are just a few. I've got a big office, so I got a whole lot more over there that we don't have time to go into.
Well, I'm actually considering making a book for my birthday, which is in August, called Connected. And it is a book. I have actually met some pretty cool people myself, and I hope to meet you as well. I hope to meet your brother since he's in my backyard, DC. But the
Yes.
point is, I actually just want to make a pictorial book and just say who that person means to me, not just who they are, but who they mean to me. And I think we should do that for you too.
That
David.
would be a great idea. Wonderful.
Well, and it'll be a collaborative project that allows us to actually get to know each other better. So I invite you to create that with me. And I did say before the show started that you are being added into the 50 book challenge. And what I loved about you is you said, without even any beat at all, you said, oh, you turned to someone and you said, hey, we need to order that book. And it doesn't even include your book yet. So please hold off on ordering that book, because your book will be added to this book, because I believe your book is actually so instrumental. And so I came up with a sentence that almost intertwines yours and my mission. Can I share it with you?
Certainly.
Okay. So stop drifting, shift, and switch. And I like that, because the drifting is we're going through life not with a purpose. And the shift is the mindset.
Right.
And the switch is go for power.
That's right. That's right.
So,
and you and I are thinking awfully close. We're kindred brothers.
I can tell. And a big shout out to Andrea for making sure that this interview happened and being the producer of the show. So Andrea, real quick, how did you find David? And you find these amazing people. So what is your job, and how do you help radios and also people like David Ibarra get to be seen and amplified?
David has been doing some amazing things with his book, and he has a great team that's been putting out press releases and getting him seen in the world. So through his team, we were able to make this great connection so that David and I could have an opportunity to connect and get to know each other, and invite him to be on, so that so many people can experience what he's creating. And Ken, I had shared at the beginning of the show, he has a big announcement as well. And I suppose we can allude to it a little bit, is with the Think and Grow Rich Foundation. So
let's not do that until
later.
We're going to do that
he'll
second.
share more later. I was just resetting up the tease, because part of being a publicist is to create that excitement and energy so that people are waiting to know what exactly that is. And especially when they hear buzzwords like that, they want to pay attention and stay on. So what I do is I'm really known as the dream maker, Ken. So I make things happen by implementing things into action. So I pay attention, I look around, I find people, I read things, do a lot of research so that I can connect people in a red carpet connection so that they can really show up in the spotlight. And just like you, as the host, you get to amplify yourself, I get to amplify you, and we get to amplify people like David.
So David, we have this new program called it's an $80,000 gift certificate. It's 4 of them, 20,000 each, and adds up to 80,000. And we give them to someone like you, and we say, who inspires you that inspires the world? And they get to write their story. It's 20,000. We evaluate 20,000 because probably the book part is about 2,000 or 3,000, but most of it is the fact that they're being marketed, they're being publicized, and also they're being connected to all these amazing people like yourself. So the value of a connector. Well, a publicist is a connector that actually gets you into media. So I have so many things to ask you, and we're going to fly into this right away, because when I was reading your book, and I have to say, I was checking every once in a while and say, my name's not next to his name, because these are my messages and thoughts as well. And so I rarely have a guest that is actually so in tune with these words and the pivot and the shift and the switch. And so, and also the purpose-driven life. So bravo. And it's such an important message. And it's actually not just a pandemic message, it's a life message. So let's start off by, I actually would like to do something different today, if it's okay, David.
Perfect.
I would like to start with your father. So you gave a bit of a tease, and you said, my father has great stories. Is he alive?
No, my father passed away about 2 years ago.
Okay. So sorry about that, but let's let him live in the show for a second.
Sure.
Or a couple minutes. So to say something as big as you did, he's got some amazing stories. Obviously, they influenced your life. So would you care to share who he is to you and how he created a bit of you, but also a story? So take like 3 or 4 minutes to just really share this.
Perfect. Well, the Ibarra family story really starts with our father, Francisco Ibarra, and a 15-year-old youngster from Zapotec, Mexican Indian from Oaxaca, Mexico, who dreamed of coming to the United States to work in the fields and to change his life. And at 15, he got accepted to come here on the Bracero program and came on a boxcar by himself. Nobody else with him. Imagine that at 15 years old. And to pick fruit in Spanish Fork, Utah. My dad was so proud of the value of to work, not have one job, 2 jobs.
And I have a question for those that don't know where he was coming from. Where in Mexico is that, please?
That is near the very furthest south tip, just before you get to Guatemala.
Yes,
And
I thought so.
it's beautiful, beautiful city. And my father lived up in the mountains in a small village, had 300, no running water, no electricity, and they were farmers. And Dad wanted a better life, and he came to the United States. He worked in the fields. He looked at this big hole in the center of the mountain in Salt Lake City. It's called Kennecott Copper Mine, the largest open pit copper mine in the world. Dad got a job there as a union worker. Later was drafted, went to, during the Korean crisis, went to Germany, came back, found out he had a valuable asset, the GI Bill. So he got counseling as to what would be his talent. They told him to bring whatever he loved to do, and Dad would draw, and he would draw women and hair. So they told him what to enroll in, and Dad enrolled in not Brigham Young University or the University of Utah, but the Hollywood Beauty School in downtown Salt Lake City, and became a hairdresser. And he ended up owning and opening the Mona Lisa House of Beauty in Sacramento, California, which he owned and operated for over 35 years. So quite a story of changing purpose and improving, and then being willing to do the actions necessary to achieve your desired end.
And my so I can tell. So what would you attribute the biggest lesson he taught you?
Dad taught me to work. He taught me early on in life to, sometimes we can't control the circumstances that we're in. We can dwell on those circumstances, or we can dwell on how it is we're going to get out of them. And from the earliest lesson in my life, that was the lesson that Dad shared with me.
And your brother, he's in our backyard, and I just found that out yesterday. So we are all going to rendezvous here in DC at some point, hopefully sooner than later. And I would love to get a photo of your beautiful smile. So tell me about your brother. He sounds like he's also a hero, and what he does.
Mickey's much more than a brother to me. I grew up in a non-traditional childhood. My father married a young white Mormon girl from Salina, Utah, and back in that time period, mixtures just wasn't accepted, certainly in Utah and many parts of the country, and the pressure was more than could be bared, and so they got divorced when I was about 1. My dad got drafted. My mother couldn't take the responsibility and turned us over to the Utah foster care system, where we were raised for nearly 14 years. And Mickey took the responsibility, only 11 months older than me, took the responsibility of taking care of us. And when my dad would come to visit, he stayed in contact, and Dad would come and visit us. Before he left, he had this ritual. He put Mickey on one knee and me on the other. And I was very shy. I didn't talk to anybody but my brother until I was about 7 years old. Anybody. And he put me on one knee and him on the other. And he said, "Now, Mickey, the circumstances are what they are. There is nothing we can do about it. It is your responsibility to take care of your younger brother, make sure he feels he's safe, and that he knows he matters." And so Mickey's more of a brother, but a guardian. But out of that experience, I ended up getting a closeness that is really unique in our lives. and a lot of other lessons unveil themselves. And if one looks at finding the seed of the equivalent benefit of any adversity, you can really grow. And I think those all those roles played a big part in my life. And I'm thankful that I had the challenge, and I'm thankful that I had my brother and my father to assist me.
You know, I am a big proponent of challenges being really a wonderful gift. And if
Yes,
you look at them as a gift, you typically get stronger. If you don't look at them
you
as a
do.
gift, they typically take you out. So,
That's right. And it's
so
your choice.
it is completely. So your brother is in DC. So just briefly share why he's here.
Well,
And
Mickey really is the success of the Ibarra family. I mean, Mickey is just an incredible connector. And, you know, in politics, it's difficult to be liked by everybody, but everybody likes my brother, Mickey. Mickey was a teacher, at-risk students, went on to work for the National Education Association, and then on to meeting President Clinton. Joined as a senior advisor to President Clinton for the second term, the entire 4 years, where he was the director of intergovernmental affairs, working with our state governors and city mayors. And after that experience, he stayed in Washington, where he has the Ibarra Strategy Group, a public relations firm, and also started the nonprofit foundation, the Latino Leaders Network, which in 2004, we hold 4 luncheons every year that we bring the top Latino leaders from all over the country together, where we sit and we don't talk politics. We talk about how a story, celebrating the story of overcoming adversity and achieving success, the American dream. And we like to say, while some will talk about the Latino contribution and sometimes misrepresent it, we have got a book out called Latino Leaders Speak, and we like to believe that, well, we don't like to believe, we want to tell the truth. And in that is 31 stories of success. And I'm really proud of my brother. I'm proud to sit on his board as well.
is this a live event that's happening this year?
Well, not this year. Obviously, we've had to go to a virtual setup. It's been live until the COVID crisis. And we have it in Washington, D.C., and certainly you'll get an invitation for sure, Ken. And but we do it in Washington, D.C. Normally start it there and end it in, our last is in November in Los Angeles, which we expect to have live. And then we have 2 host cities, Houston, and we've had Austin. We've had, we'll go anywhere in between the country. We'll bring in a host city every year.
Well, I'm
that's
drooling
very
because
exciting. Yeah, I was just saying that Ken and I both are drooling because those are cities that we both represent with the Keep Smiling movement and travel to very frequently.
Well, you'll both get invitations. I promise you that.
Well, also the reason I'm also drooling is because we've done 140 books, and what book is missing, David? Siga Sonriendo.
Okay.
Yes, it is.
We need the Spanish. And by the way, we have the ex-president of Mexico, Vincent Fox, holding the Keep Smiling card.
Well, I got to show you something. Grab that picture, Oz, Vicente Fox, under my TV.
And if you have it handy, Andrea, go ahead and pull the world version. This will be pretty cool. Yeah, Vicente Fox is quite a personality, very charismatic.
I just, he's invited me to do a leadership conference, but
yes.
Yeah.
Do you have it handy?
I do not.
Okay, so we'll get it at the break. We'll show it. So we're going to show you the Siga Sonriendo card, and also Vicente. And I've been to Peru. My wife is from Peru, and we celebrate diversity with the Keep Smiling movement, and that's why it's in 30 languages. But French and Spanish would be my top 2 focuses for getting the book to be bilingual or trilingual. So
I have the French one. I gave away my last Siga Sonriendo, I think last weekend. So
well, you know what, David, what I'm going to do is I'm going to mail you. We're going to exchange addresses, and I'm going to send you a stack of the Siga Sonriendo cards so we can get photos. and maybe even to your brother. And I'm going to send you the copy that includes your book. So we'll get that to you. I would be very interested in getting the 31 leaders stories.
I'll send it.
Fantastic.
That would be
I will send
wonderful. Okay, so what else about your childhood that you'd like to share that mainly caused you to be who you are today? And also speak about what the foster system was like. Was it a benefit, or was it not as good as you could have had for what you wanted to do?
Well, you know, I would say this is that it was difficult. There was some good. There was some not so good.
Can you share what was difficult, please?
Well, the difficult part for me was how is it that David Ibarra is living with the Smiths or the Gomez's or the Andersons? What you know, when you go to school or you meet other kids, that question is asked, and frankly, it's asked in sometimes a not very kind way. And for me, that when when the negative thoughts get seated in your subconscious of just a simple question, do I matter?
Mm-hmm.
What how did this happen? What happened to my mom to drop me off and not come back?
Right.
Those are questions that can hurt you, and then you try to analyze that you got to get through it. And for me, it was difficult because I was darker than my brother, and living in Utah, frankly, was not very inviting. And there was not many kids of color, and so I would be the recipient of some bullying and tough language about being Mexican American, and it affected me in a shy way. I didn't talk. I wasn't learning well, and then I went to my fifth grade class, and I'll remember that the first thing they do is make you stand up and read, and I didn't read well, so you get laughed at some more. And then they have a spelling test where they're going to 10 new words, and every Monday you spell them, and I get maybe one right, and everybody else gets 8, and people laugh at you. And then on Friday you take it again, and maybe I get 6 right, and everybody else gets 9 or 10, and they laugh again. And then this teacher by the name of Sam Francis, I'll never forget, he looked at me, and he could see how I felt. And he was more than a teacher. He wanted to let me know there was another person in there that I had to find that would believe that I could achieve anything. And he stopped the class and told them, most of the kids that I was in grade school were children of faculty members from Brigham Young University. And so he reminded them that we all come from different places, and we all have different things we're exposed to, and that maybe I had a lot more to learn. But then the one time I got 10 out of 10, and the class clapped, and I think it was the first time I got the closest thing to a standing ovation. But I caught a glance of Mr. Francis's eyes, and they were watered up, and he was just so proud. And that individual was a teacher. He had a mission in life. And to this day, I stay in touch with Mr. Francis. I've given a lot of speeches thanking him, and he made me a believer. He taught me how to play sports. I was excellent at sports, and while I remained angry through my teenage years, and when I got asked that question, and after I got a little bit more confidence, nobody asked me twice, because I would get angry and normally inflict a little pain on him, and that's not a good way to be.
No.
I had to overcome that later.
Well, he's obviously a hero of yours, and we would love to capture what he did, not just for you, but he did it for a lot of people. And it's the irony of Brigham Young is that they were shunned and they were forced to move all the way to Salt Lake City. So it's a Sneetches with stars kind of scenario, is that we need to never forget that we were pushed away, or we could be the Sneetch without the star.
And for me, it was difficult. I was a Catholic kid in a Mormon town.
Well,
and of course, when they put you into foster care, you get baptized, whatever it is. So I was baptized LDS, but a wonderful community. And I'll tell you what, I have nothing but admiration for the last foster parents I had. But I needed to leave, and I did everything I could to get out of there, even threatening to run away, because I would have. I was getting out, and they let me put me on a Greyhound bus. My brother and I, one condition that my brother and I had to stay together was the only condition my father gave. And off on a Greyhound bus we went to Sacramento and joined up with our father, and that was a game changer for me.
Well, we have quickly gone through a segment, and I just want to give you a little surprise, a little present, I guess, so to speak. Let me see. There it is. So he's holding the Keep Smiling card. Actually, I think that is the Sigisoriendo card.
Yeah.
So he is such a wonderful man, and we were so fortunate to meet him. But we're going to go to break right now. Andrea is going to give a shout out to our sponsors, and we are going to come back and talk about your book more.
Perfect. Thank you.
And thank you to our featured sponsor, bees.social, BEES.social, the insider info for education on crypto technology and cryptocurrency, creating a global decentralized processing system for the people, by the people, because enough is enough. Also, the Red Carpet Connection, the Umbrella Syndicate, Big Events USA, Perfect Publishing, Voice America Influencers Channel, and My Makeup Lady, Lynn Benavides. You can find her on Facebook, and also the EMF Fix. The EMF Fix, it is an EMF, a necklace that helps prevent the frequencies from coming in and creating toxins in your body. And with that, we'll be back after these messages.
All clear.
I'm going to be on TV someday, and I'm going to be showing these products left and right. And I'm going to be so good at this.
You
And
are
see,
good.
I'm on a different screen reading, so I'm not seeing what you're doing.
Yeah, this is a very cool necklace, actually. Look at it.
Oh, yeah.
Oh,
So
that's funny. When you held it up, you could see me in it. It was a reflection of me. I liked it even more.
I've got one that I wear that says 3% driven. And it's for the 3% that really gain the enlightenment of becoming the switch master of their own thought and being able to pivot to positive. About 3% of the population have ascended to that. And I want to keep trying until I get there.
Nice.
Well, that's awesome. I'd like to know more about that offline. And I went to an event called 4%, and it was about the 4% that actually own 96% of the income, closet created, and are abundant because of
Sorry to interrupt, Ken. We're coming back.
Okay.
This is Amplified. To reach the show today, please call 1-866-472-5795. That's 1-866-472-5795. We also would love to hear from you via email to info@umbrellasyndicate.com. Now, back to Amplify.
You know, I do want our audience to hear about the 3% because that's a great mindset and a message. So would you mind sharing what you were sharing offline about the 3%?
Yes, there's been many studies, higher learning institutions, about the gainfully employed. And it's been proven time and time again that 3% of the population control 90% of its wealth. And an additional 10% are problem solvers when handed an assignment. So there's really about 13% of the leadership group, and 87% need some guidance, need to help participate. And 27% of the population, frankly, are stinking thinkers and probably will never be changed, but that's what we deal with. And as we go in and work with companies, we ask them, how do you want your talent to be? And let's develop a plan to have a talent shift and a talent mix that reaches the Disneyland results, because it can be achieved if you're willing to do the actions to get there.
Okay, so what percent in that litany of great numbers you were giving are in need of not just reading your book, but are identified as drifting?
Well, there is no doubt that 87% of the population are drifting, and you know, they're smothering in unhappiness and don't have a purpose. And what really affects me, what I want to touch, if you don't have a good work experience and feel like you're participating and that you're a part of, I don't think you go home the best parent, the best partner, the best neighbor. physical health. They are all connected. And I think it starts with, I believe it starts with overcoming the strongest fear, and that is the fear of poverty, the fear of not having enough. And then using that as freedom. Don't become so work-oriented that it takes the place of your greater roles, and that's family, faith, community, and health.
That's beautiful. So for the audience and the people that will be reaching people that they love and know that may be in the drift zone, and that's a pretty cool title too. Drift zone. What are a couple questions you could ask that say, wow, I am drifting?
Well, first thing that I always ask, and when somebody comes in, whether it's my Wednesday night time tithing coaching, which anybody can get on my calendar, I've done over thousands, or whether it is with companies or individuals that want a performance coaching, I'll listen. Why did you come? What motivated you? Why did you reach out to me? And then I answer the beginning question. It always is, let me ask you something. What is it that you want? What do you want? And if you can't answer that, you're drifting.
Exactly.
Most can't. And it's our job to help them define what is it you want. Fill in that simple question, then everything begins.
I think some other indicators, David, because I was actually guilty of this drifting issue too, is if you're a workaholic, you probably are not living life. So you're drifting. And I was a workaholic. If you don't know what you'd want on your tombstone and you don't know that you matter, you're probably drifting. You're probably missing. So my mom, when she died of Alzheimer's, I was in a 3-year prayer and quest of God, what do you want me to do with my life? And I realized I did not do anything with my life up until the point I was caring for her. I was doing things that were making other people happy, and I was doing things that were making me abundant, but I wasn't doing things that mattered. And so I think this topic is so relevant because you don't want to have a parent get lost and for you to ask the question, now what am I going to do with my life?
Ken, some people think they're working for riches, and they define riches as it relates to money. Riches is your definition of what you want out of family, faith, community, health, and wealth. It's right. A balance of all, but money is freedom. Now, having money is not going to make you happy, but not having enough will definitely be inconvenient.
Yes, because scarcity is a juggling act of trying to figure it out instead of actually being powerful.
Right.
Totally. Okay. So I apologize for asking this question, but I'm going to ask it.
Okay.
How many books have you written?
This is my first book.
Okay. So I was happy to hear that because I haven't read any of your other books yet.
That's my first.
So why decide to do this book now, and why this book?
Well, one is that I've written many seminars, and I write all of our seminars that we teach. And as I started thinking about going to business after business and wanting to affect, my mission is to work with the employed adult that gets up every Monday, goes to work privately, not liking it, committing spiritual suicide, suffocating in unhappiness. And could we change that so that it could be better parents, partners, neighbors, and change cities, and I believe a world, one person at a time. That's my mission. Now, I started thinking of all my experiences, and I started writing down everything I see common. And then I grouped them into fictional characters, and I wanted to share in a story, in a Blanchard type story that could be easily received, and somebody say, that's me. Oh, that's how. And so I created these fictional characters, but everything in the book is real. No one person is all of them, but they're all connected, and everything in the book did occur. And it's just my 40 years experience of consulting and doing business turnarounds and helping people find their why and what they want, and then realize the law of attraction isn't going to take care of it. The word attraction at the end has the last word is action. Nothing happens until an action is put into motion. Nothing. And then we really specialize in action, execution. And not very many people want to do that because that's where you get judged.
Exactly. So we're going to find that the second segment goes very, very quickly. So I want to be a little more intentional on time. You and I had a conversation yesterday about, I told you that almost 40% of our guests say that the number one book they read was Think and Grow Rich.
Yes.
And so I want to invite you into a medium-sized answer, 3 minutes, to say how that book changed your life, but how you utilize that book to solve the problems that most people are dealing with.
Well, I was 18 years old. I'd gotten a football injury. I thought I was going to play college football. That was over. I didn't have any money. I was scared, a little bit angry. I decided I better go to community college in California, Sacramento. It was free except for the books. So I enrolled and I was lacking $200. I needed a job. I was tired, taking full load, a bank teller in the morning on a program from President Nixon had out for underprivileged youngsters. And I found this job as a dishwasher at Farrell's Ice Cream Parlor Restaurant in Sacramento. And I'll never forget it. The third week, Mr. Farrell walks in. He owned 25 at the time, walks up to me and he says, "Young man." And he put his hand out, and mine's all full of food. He put his hand out. He said, and so I shook it. And he says, "You are the most important person of anybody in this place." And I'm going, "Sir, I'm the dishwasher." And then he took me out to the parlor and he showed me there was 200 people dining, celebrations going all around. "Ladies and gentlemen, may I bring your attention to Alex? He came in to sing birthday song, drums." And he says, "What kind of business we in?" I said, "The ice cream business." "No, look at Alex, look at his face." I said, "Memory business?" "That's right." Then he walked me back into the dish room and showed me the importance of the cleanliness of the dish and that we used real china, real silver, and it would be spoiled if I didn't do my job. So I was the protector of that experience. Then the next day he had a meeting and he stood up and says, "What's our purpose? Everybody stand. What's our purpose?" Nobody could say. He looked at the store manager and you could just tell with a smile, but this was not just for us. It was a training moment for him. And he said, "I'll help you. Farrell's features fabulous food and fantastic fountain fantasies for frolicking, fun-filled, festive families." And he said, "Now say it again. Say it louder." We never opened this store again without getting into a huddle and doing that. And what he taught me was seeding the subconscious with what it believed. And then we had to serve everybody with a smile, and everybody had to leave with a little dose of happy-itis. And that was Farrell's. So I waited after that meeting and walked up and introduced myself. And I said, "Sir, can I ask you a question?" He said, "Sure, certainly." "How does it feel to know what you want?" Smiled at me and said, "I'm going to, I'll be right back." And he walked over to his car, came back, and he handed me a book. And he said, "You read this book 3 times and underline everything you don't understand, and I will be your mentor for the rest of your life." And I read it, and he was my mentor. And 10 years later, I owned a Farrell's franchise. I was the youngest franchisee. I worked through the anger that I had, got on the path of understanding those 17 principles. I read it 10 minutes in the morning. It's funny. I got a little a speaker in my shower, and I turn it on while I'm showering, just 10 minutes. And I seed my subconscious to direct my conscious to do what I want and get what I want. And so I've been a disciple of Think and Grow Rich since I was 18 years old.
Well, you are lit up, so don't even worry about light anymore. You are lit up, okay? So
it went out, keeps going out. I'm sorry.
Well, no, it went out because you're stronger than it.
Okay.
Okay, that's why. I mean, your smile's stronger, what you're saying stronger, so let it be. So for our audience, I know they've heard this a lot of times, but I don't think they've ever heard a disciple at the level that you are. Would you say who Napoleon Hill is for you? And would you give the 2-minute version of what people need to know about Napoleon Hill, i.e. the Carnegie story?
Well, Napoleon Hill, by the way, is my mentor, and he's my imaginary guide. He and Bob Farrell, and whenever I'm in a situation, I can hear him whisper to me the right principle to pivot to assist others in finding their way. But Napoleon Hill was a young reporter that interviewed the great Andrew Carnegie, was the first billionaire really of the world, and U.S. still. And he took on a task of spending 20 years interviewing the 500 most successful individuals in our country, from Henry Ford, Firestone, Rockefeller, on and on and on. And really what Napoleon Hill was a gatherer of information trying to link the light things. And then what Andrew Carnegie wanted was that to be shared, a philosophy of success that he really wanted to be taught in every grade school, high school, college, so that people knew how to achieve it. It's not an accident, but for many, it happens after trial and error. What would it be like if we were taught that before we ever even entered kindergarten? Would we have a better life? And that's really the mission of Dr. Hill and his 17 principles. And he's written many books, and he'll shift them around. And I've shifted them around, and I've taken his material and I've modernized it. I've renamed some of the principles. And I start with number 7 as being number 1, and that is positive mental attitude. First, you have to understand, and I changed that to a positive state of mind. If there's a positive, there's a negative. They're so unfriendly, they can't possess the same space. You have to pivot to the positive. And then once you understand how the brain works to cause you to not have what you want, it's easy. The formula is the same. It's the positive emotion attract to seeding positive into your brain, and then do the work. In the end, is magical, mystical, and powerful.
And so I don't remember learning this in school.
Well, we didn't, but I'm not done yet.
Yeah, because what you're saying, so my son has a book that we're working on together. It's Be the Smartest Kid in the Room. Mm-hmm. And it teaches the Pledge of Allegiance. It teaches the Boy Scout motto. It teaches sign language, flags, etc. And I think the 17 principle is not in the book yet, and I think it needs to be. And
I agree.
And I think if you're the smartest kid in the room, you know the 17 principles. And if you don't know them, you have access to them.
That's right. That's right.
So,
all right.
He just shared something pretty exciting that may we share
yes,
the big
it is the time for the reveal.
All right. So before you do the reveal, everything you just said fits within the Dose of Hope, which is our latest book with the Keep Smiling movement.
800 pages, young man.
Founder.
Well, I want that one too. And in my seminars, I happen to use the acronym DOSE for the dose chemicals that make us happy. And
so do we. So we have that in common.
So you use it too. That's crazy.
So on the count of 3, dopamine, oxytocin, serotonin, and endorphins.
So David, we have a little rule that we don't mail a book to someone that is going to be in the book until they're in the book. So it sounds like we have 2 books to mail you minimum that you are going to be in, and I'll send you, I've done a comical book that I think will bring some smiles to your face since you love to smile, and it's called The No Nonsense Book on Nonsense.
One of my favorite books ever. So David has a big reveal that we were
let's hear the reveal.
When you talked about the Think and Grow Rich, I was just over here super beaming. So David, please let everyone know what has just occurred with you and the Think and Grow Rich Foundation.
Well, first I'd like to say is that you win your life, the game of life, in the 4th quarter. And it's really important to define your 4th quarter. And for me, I've been very lucky and prosperous in the businesses that I have and will continue to have and run with enthusiasm. But in the 4th quarter, I wanted to do something grander to give back, to give the gift that I received from Mr. Farrell, from my teacher, Mr. Francis. And so 2 years ago, I bought the rights to Think and Grow Rich, Central America, Mexico, the Latin Caribbean. And last week, I bought the rights for mainland China, Hong Kong, and Singapore, which I believe will make me the largest licensee of the Think and Grow Rich philosophy in the world. And to think that little kid who didn't know whether he mattered, and that kid finding a dishwasher's job and being lucky to meet Mr. Farrell, and disabilities, and I didn't read well, I learning, I wasn't, and then to get the gift of Dr. Hill's Think and Grow Rich, and then to be able to play an impact at this level as a disciple of Think and Grow Rich is just magical to me. I'm truly blessed. I'm the luckiest man in the world.
Well, you are, but I think you'll agree with, I think it was Mark Twain. He said, the harder I work, the luckier I get.
That's true.
I always know I'm talking to someone that has impacted the world when they live in gratitude and express their gratitude. This is the dedication page.
Mhm.
And I always enjoy reading that because it is the connection of someone saying, it's not just me.
Yeah,
And it's not for me. It's actually for them
that's
because
right.
they made a difference. So we're going to go to rapid fire, and unfortunately, the show is ending in minutes, like 5 minutes. So it is, of course, fast questions, fast answers. Even if we ask you something that sounds like a long answer, please give us a short answer. Okay, you ready?
Yes.
I'm going to ask this. It's a one-sentence return. Who is Don Green to you?
Don Green's a mentor, collaborator. Love Don Green. And happy birthday. Today is Don Green's birthday.
And here he is on the front cover.
That's right.
By the way,
See?
yesterday
David,
was
are you
David's
impressed?
birthday. So happy birthday to David yesterday.
Yes.
Thank you.
Happy birthday, David. I guess I'm not on Facebook with you yet, so we will make that work so that I don't miss your birthday next year. All right. Go ahead, Andrea.
What is the song that you play when you want to get fired up?
Greatest love of all.
Okay, so
George
besides,
Benson.
I know it is. George Benson's an amazing singer too. Besides this book and Think and Grow Rich, what is the book that changed your life, and what is the book you give the most?
Well, it's The Keys to Success, which is a modern version of Think and Grow Rich.
Okay, Andrea.
And what did you want to be when you were a little kid? What did you want to grow up and be?
When I was a little kid, what I wanted to grow up and be was to figure out what I wanted to be because I didn't know. And it was
What is
scary.
what is a movie or two that inspires you? A go-to movie?
Well, Antoine Fisher.
Yes, that's a great one.
movie that touched me, and I've watched it. I can't tell you how many times I watch it, and every time I do, I get teary-eyed.
Well, we've had 250 plus shows, and you're the first person to mention that movie, and I agree with you. That movie is a sleeper. It is amazing. Great movie. Yes, Andrea?
Ken, for time's sake, please go ahead with your last question.
What is a quote you live by, David?
Some see things as they are and ask why. Others dream dreams that never were and say, why not?
Amen, David. Well, you've been amplified. Wonderful, wonderful to have you on the show. But more importantly, I'm looking forward to a wonderful friendship with you, and the inclusion of creating a legacy with you aren't as many things as you allow me to. But I think the Drift Zone is maybe a collaborative project. We'll see. So, Andrea, let's give a shout out to the Keep Smiling Movement, Dagnabbit.
Yes. So our charity of love and support is thekeepsmilingmovement.com. We thrive on donations so that we can continue to create smiles in the world for other people. Our mission is to create a dose of hope, one smile at a time, to reach the entire world with love and acceptance. Our other sponsors are Bees.social, the EMF Fix, My Makeup Lady, Lynn Benavides, the Umbrella Syndicate, the Red Carpet Connection, Big Events USA, Perfect Publishing, and Voice America Influencers Channel. And a big thank you to David Ibarra for being here. Back to you, Ken.
So before we miss this opportunity, David, how does the world connect with you?
Well, you can connect to me at davidribarra.com.
Okay. And social media, Facebook, LinkedIn, anything?
Facebook, David R. Ibarra.
Okay. So if they want to buy a copy of this, it's obviously on Amazon. If they buy it from you.
Amazon on March 9th and stopdrifting.com. Pre-sales are available now.
And if they want signed copies from you, go to your website kind of thing?
You can just go to my website and send us a comment and they'll get one.
Okay. Well, David, I don't think I've ever had a book that had so many words that speak to me, because my mom told me about shifting your attitude, about finding purpose. I mean, your book is a must read for people that love people that might be drifting. So thank you so much. We have amplified you. And again, we look forward to you being a dose of hope and sharing your story, because it's amazing. So for those of you listening, please give a big warm welcome to David by following him, supporting him with his book, but more importantly, giving the book to people that actually